I didn't get your email with this, link.
Why not?
My question.
He loves it already too.
And Tony,
Oh,
or-
is it?
Huh?
Sierra didn't get it, I got a bad address for Sierra, which I know she already has.
It's just my first, my last name at Gmail. But I already have it.
It makes
so-
you feel better, I got it. I got your email.
Thanks, Jeff Dream.
Yeah.
Jeff
no problem.
I can't order it at UBC.
Well, Jeff,
Is it you, like, yeah, regular email, right? I got the first email, you have my email, they just don't care about me. That's what it sounds like, that's what I'm hearing.
Why are you
You
laughing
got
at me?
it.
Yeah, it has your right email in there.
Now he knows my email?
Well, I mean, you put it on the board 10 times.
you can't be hurt, I know that. You've been hurt so much already. Mike, you get it?
Haven't checked. You sent it to the, which email?
I think the word that works. I don't know, cause
Send it
Well,
to
I
Marilyn,
just
or you
clicked on
sent
your
it to
name.
my
I think your personal name.
personal email? Well, no, I didn't get it today. Nothing from you. Did you send it today,
yesterday,
4 o'clock, or after?
yesterday?
Yesterday? No, I didn't get it.
Have you got a USB with you? Okay, after class, we'll put this file on your USB. Have you got a USB?
Never heard of it.
Oh, no.
It's a Windows thing.
2016. Yeah, I don't do that.
You also don't have the e-file. Do you have a USB port on that thing?
I have a USB in my house.
But you're not in your house. Do you have a USB
Like, I don't have
port?
one in my life, like, I don't.
Do you have a port
I
on
know,
that? Do you have a USB port on that?
no.
Because we can use Mike's USB
Oh, yeah.
port
I don't have
into
it.
there.
USB, anything.
Okay, so you got all your eggs in one basket.
For next class, the questions are from chapter 12.
So it's a test or an-
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Gene.
We're going in order.
I was totally wrong about you.
12 and 13, actually. Isn't it?
Don't listen to him. Don't.
It has to
Don't.
be.
We already did 13, bro.
Oh, yeah, Gene was like 2
I
years
know.
ago. Oh, you're trying to.
Yeah, he is, he is.
12's not on that test though.
He's had a bad day, wants to spread it around.
Yeah, I called 911 today on accident. I don't know how I did that. Like, I'm trying to call my boss in Guam, and they're just like, 911,
What
what's
you
your
call
emergency? It's like,
Late
click.
today? It's not late.
Bad connection.
All right, man, quit screwing with me.
It's so hard to call different agents from GSM.
Okay, so yeah, chapter 12 is for Monday's class. Chapter 12, after we take the test.
Just one chapter.
Just one chapter, we're gonna go slow down because you're gonna take a test that night also.
True. One week.
So what your questions are going to fulfill the function of being test relief. Test relief after the test. Loosen everybody up. Jeff, what does USB stand for?
Universal serial bus. Not really universal anymore, but.
So 3 minutes. Alright, so.
But yeah, another thing too is try and type 911 before you type in the number. Because of 911.
1, 3, 1.
I'm just like, Jesus
Set up,
Christ.
set up for failure.
Yeah. I just hung up on him. Say, yeah, my bad.
The way the base was locked down when I was coming through the gate.
No, it was first thing this morning, so. Jesus.
Oh my God.
Feel free.
Yeah,
You
feel
don't
later.
want it here.
I guess they hear us. We can out party them.
Yeah.
They just laugh sometimes. So 2 minutes. Hmm. So 60 seconds. Okay, so let's continue. Jean would like the class to consider doing chapter 12 for Monday. Seems like a good idea. So let's prepare chapter 12 for Monday. There'll be 10 questions. Right. Now, you can use your personal mix or match at most 4 true false. At most 4 true false. And at most 5 multiple choice. At most 5 multiple choice.
If not,
The rest is up to you. So now we're talking about looping again, so we're back into our little Bible here. And it indicates how you use a for next loop. At the bottom of the page is the second type of loop, which we won't learn here. It's called a while in loop. It also uses a Boolean. You can use this loop if you care to read it, try it out, and use it. It's an intro course, so we just use the for next loop here. If you turn the page, you have what's called the do while loop. Do until in basic, do until. Now, because it's a question that will occur on a test, I want to point out the difference between a while loop and a do until loop. A while loop, it's possible that it's executed 0 times. If the Boolean is immediately false, the code will be immediately skipped. But if you look at the do until loop structure on your page here, you see the Boolean is not interrogated until the code has already been gone through 1 time. So a do until loop will always execute 1 time. So you use it times when you want to execute at least once. And that's a very common example. For example, if you are programming a computer game, so your user turns it on and he plays the game, agreed? Then you ask him, do you want to play again? If he says yes, you loop back to the top and play again. But you assume he's going to play it at least once, agreed? So you don't ask him until it's been executed one time. But for the while loop, whether it's at the very top, before you get him into a game that he may not be, you ask him a question. Are you sure you're in the right program? And if he answers no, then you skip the whole thing, agreed? So you don't, how many of you have gone through a series of steps and you got someplace where you didn't expect to be and you couldn't get out until you reached a certain point because the programmer used the wrong route? Right? I know you guys would never do that. Okay, so let's turn the page, see if there's anything now. Well, the excitement on the pages that follow is not going to be a part of this course because I removed a potential third program. We won't be using doing it. So we're going to stop with the instructions that have already been indicated to you, and I'm going to introduce one new way of storing your data that's very, very efficient. So let's go back to the program that we do have. And this is the output screen, and this is the code. So now what I want to do is, instead of printing the index, I want to input the number. So I'm going to say, input this number. And so we input that, and then we're going to call that the inputted number of all things. And now notice I spelled it wrong, which doesn't matter as long as I cut and paste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to form a running sum here. So I'm going to say that sum of inputted numbers. You might say this is overkill, but it helps the next programmer. And again, I cut and copy. It equals itself. Plus the inputted number, which I also cut and paste. Copy and paste. I don't trust my typing. George H. trusts his copying, God bless him. Now, I went too far, and I'm not sure about continuation lines in this. Some programming language, you can put a continuation line, continuation character, and continue on to the next line, not knowing it here. So now what I want to do is print the running sum. So I want to print the sum of the numbers. So let's analyze what this code is going to do. It's going to say how many numbers, and it's going to set up a loop. We're going to loop through it that many times. Each time we go into the loop code, we're going to input a number, and we're going to add it to a running total. And we're going to print the running total, and we're going to keep looping until we exceed the number of numbers, and we're going to stop. So does it look like it's suitable to hit a run?
Take the card.
Let's do a right click and a run. How many numbers? Gene Baker, how many numbers?
4.
4. Okay, enter a number. Now you see there's no space here, it's going to be crowded. So I should have left a space there so it looks better. Shoko, give me a number. Take your time. Get the right one.
It's a rough question.
Shoko?
Yes.
Yes.
Can't be wrong.
A number is
Anything. Oh, well,
1. That was worth waiting for. Jeff?
16.
Sierra?
37.
That was my age. Okay, Jordan G.
4.
That was unusually fast. Okay, now is the sum working? Okay, Mike, another number, we're done, so you can't do any more than this, right? We can't do any more than this. So let's look at the code one more time and see how the code is working. Input, how many numbers? That controls the loop. That controls the number of times we're gonna loop. Each time we have the body of the loop, some people like to bring this out, so it's clear when the loop is stopping. And when we exceed the number of numbers, we bounce out of the loop and we go to the next instruction after the word next. And we print. Can you have loops within loops? Nest is called loopity-loop, and it's called a nested loop. And you can have loops within if statements within loops, within if statements.
Don't do it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How could it be running the force line,
Yes.
like a,
Oh, because that's
Between
only a
the-
short screen, I can probably fix that for you.
no, I mean like some of
Input
numbers,
Numbers?
and then after equal is exactly the same word, right?
Well, we talked about that the first day. That's the difference between programming and algebra. So let's do it in simple letters. In algebra, can you say x equals x plus 1? Is there any x for which that is true in Math 103? There's no such x, agreed? But in programming, then x is in memory. It's just a memory location in memory. It's in a numeric memory address. So if I say x equals 2, it puts a 2 there. Then if I say x is assigned to the current value of x plus 1. So this is not an equal sign, it's an assignment operator. So first thing it does is goes to this memory location, and what does it find? A 2. So it adds 1 to it and puts the answer back there. So it's not an equal sign, it's an assignment operator. X is assigned, the new value of x is assigned to be the old value of x plus 1. So the new value of sum of inputted numbers is assigned to be the old value of sum of inputted numbers plus this number that we've inputted. So that's the difference between algebra and programming.
Riz.
Not gonna work. Humiliation is good for the character. How do you know? Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to dress up your program a little bit. First, what I'm going to do is print a welcome statement up here. I'm going to say, print, welcome. That's always nice, isn't it?
Sure.
Makes you feel better? Okay, now, for the next programmer that comes along and has to maintain this program, you should know something about what it is, okay? So, what you have to do is give some information now that's not going to be part of the code, but is a message that you're passing on to the next programmer. So you have the freedom to put comments into your code. All you have to do is start the line with a single asterisk. And BASIC will ignore it. It's just adding text to your code, decorating it, comments for the next programmer. So you say, this program accepts and accumulates numbers. And then you also say the date that you wrote the darn thing, which was 17 February 2017, and you might put somebody else's name so you don't get called. now this is information that's for the next programmer. Actually, it's not just for the next programmer, because it was observed in a company once that a program stopped running, so they threw it on somebody's desk and said, what's wrong with it? He looked at it, he says, I can't understand any of this code, who in the hell wrote this anyway? He looked at the top of the page, it was his own name, 6 months ago, let it go. You forget very quickly your own code. The X, Y's, and Z's lose all meaning. You do want to make your program self-documenting. Okay, so these are comments, and they go up at the top. Now, the reason you put the comments in the program, it's called documentation, is because we used to put them on a separate sheet of paper that we put in a filing cabinet. So that if a new programmer had trouble, he would theoretically go to the filing cabinet, find your documentation, and read what the program does. Trouble is that it was filed in an incomprehensible system. He couldn't find it. Chances are you never wrote it anyway. So finally it was realized the one place to put the comments and documentation where it would never be separated from the code is in the code. So whenever you have a complicated line of code that you're so proud of because it's so intricate and clever that you can barely understand it yourself, then you put in a comment for your follow-on programmer saying what this line of code is doing. Or yourself later. Now, some people take this to extreme. I've had students that handed in the program and it went like this. There's such a thing as over-commenting. In other words, if you put in too many comments, nobody's going to read them, because there's too many of them. So you have to put in the optimum number of comments, okay? Good. So we're going to run this thing, and it looks a little bit better because it says welcome. And you notice these comments do not interfere with the running of the program. So Gene Baker, how many numbers?
7.
Okay. Shoko, first number.
10.
Okay, Jordan H, second number.
156.
Ayano, next number.
280.
Okay. Izuka, next number. Yeah, number, give me a number.
99.
And who, read that. Okay, Mike, another number. Where's the 99? Not Mike?
33.
Sorry?
33.
33. Okay, and let's take us out. Jordan Green, the last number?
1,246.
And I guess we got some more places to go. Gene, you did this. What's the last one?
5.
5? And we're done. Okay, now notice how crowded this is right here. So you can alleviate that, make it look a little bit better if you put in a space right here. See where I put in the space? So it's just going to look a little bit better now. Aesthetic appeal, user interface. So we've got this program pretty well established now. And it illustrates very well the for loop. Now, what would happen if I wanted to input the 10 numbers and form a sum, but later in the program I wanted to do something else with the inputted numbers, so I would need to save them. So if I'm inputting 7 numbers, like Gene wants us to do, and I want to save them, then I have to set up 7 variables to put them into, agreed? If I want to input, suppose you say input how many numbers, it's no longer a subject to discussion, agreed? You say only 7. So you no longer, the user doesn't get to pick how many numbers. So that's a weakness. Now also, if you want to add up 127 numbers, then you need to declare 127 variables to put them in each place. Enter something called the matrix. Okay. So, if I say x equals 1, then in memory, a location called X is going to be set up, and the number 1 is going to be put into it. Now, the length of memory reserved is enough material to hold one number. But if I want to set up a matrix, in other words, I want to set up a memory space that's going to hold 5 numbers. This one memory space that's going to hold 5 numbers, you might think of it as having 5 cells. I'm going to name this matrix to be numbers. So the first thing I will have to do is tell BASIC how many cells I want to reserve in memory. So I want to tell it the dimension of matrix. So I say dimension numbers has 5. What it will do is find a block of 5 cells in memory where it expects you to put numbers. Now each one of these blocks has an address. This is called numbers, parentheses 1. What do you think this one's called?
2, parentheses 2.
And what do you think this one's called?
5.
Numbers, parentheses 5, agreed? Okay. So now watch how I'm going to alter this program so it can do that. First, I'm going to set up my array dimension. Numbers. And 5 is good. So now that memory space is now set aside. All right. It's better. Okay, so that's set aside, and I'm bothered that it's a black. Maybe numbers is a reserved word. The BASIC has a set of reserved words that it uses for itself, so you can't use it. For example, you cannot declare a variable to be named for or next, because those are words BASIC uses for itself. I don't know if this is going to fly or not, so let's just try to run it and see. And it does run, so apparently it's accepting that. So it didn't burp. So now, what I'm going to do is say, for index 2, I'm going to now just cut this down to a 5, because we've agreed that's the size. And we're going to take this out because it's limited. And we're going to input this to numbers. Now, I don't trust my spelling, so what I'm going to do is just take numbers and copy it and put it down here, and I'm going to put, instead of a 5, I'm going to put index, close parentheses, okay? And now I'm going to add that to that. So let's walk through this code and see what it's going to do. First, I dimension a place in memory that is 5 numbers long. That's done. I print welcome. Now I go into my for loop. I say enter a number. Suppose the person enters a 3. Where is the 3 put? It's put in numbers that is qualified by the current value of index. What's the current value of index?
1.
1. So it's put here, agreed? A 3 is put here because index is currently set to 1. So it's put into the first cell. Now we loop through and we add this to the running total, which is a 3. We print the running total and we go back. This bumps index. Index is now a 2. So it says enter another number. Suppose you enter 7. Where's the 7 going to go? 2. 7's going to go there. And it adds that in. Now we're going to populate this matrix because each time index gets bumped, and that moves us along in the matrix to the next cell. So let's see if it functions. Alright, I think if I do this on my run screen, it might disappear. Okay, so, let's see if it functions. Let's run this thing. And so enter a number. So Jeff, first number.
32,
Next number, Jeff.
31,
Jeff,
62,
62? Sierra?
43.
Okay, Mike?
33.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so we're done, so the thing works, agreed? Now, the beauty of this piece of code is that it's efficient. You've only declared one variable, an array, agreed? But yet you can put 5 numbers into it with the declaration of one array. You don't have to declare 5 different variables. You declare an array, just one array, and you get away with it. Now, I want to convince you that those numbers are really there. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy this code and put it down here. And I'm going to say, what's this new loop gonna do? It's gonna print the contents of the array, agreed? It's going to dump the array to the printer. So let's run the program again. So Mike, the number please.
33.
Another number, Mike. Is this the only number you know?
23.
Joke up, you only know the number. I didn't hear her tell me one up. Ayano, good. Azusa. And Sierra.
7.
Okay, so do you see how those numbers were saved in those memory locations? They're still there. That means you can use them for other things now. You can now use them for other things. So you enter them once, and they're there. And you can use them for anything that you want. Okay.
Can I see the,
Code?
yeah, code, this? No. You're actually covering, sorry. Thank you.
It happens so rarely. Anything else you'd like to see? Okay, we'll work on that. Okay, so this is the code that now teaches you how to use a for loop, and also teaches you how to dimension an array, and to make use of an array. So now I'm going to change it one more time. I'm going to say numbers, and now I'm going to take this input statement. Ahead of this, I'm going to say input. How many numbers? Space. And I'm going to call that the number of numbers. And now what I'm going to do is to, instead of dimensioning my array to be 5, I'm going to dimension my array to be what?
number of numbers.
A variable, user determined, agreed? And what else do I have to change in the program?
1 to 5.
Has to be now also number of numbers, agreed? Any place else? Down here as well, agreed? So now it is variable. Now we're not wired to 5. The user can decide how many numbers. We still set up the array and save the numbers for later. So notice how the program grows in length and complexity. So Gene Baker, how many numbers, please?
1,000, no, I'm just kidding, 5.
You were still just kidding, 3. Okay, first number. Kazuza, give me a number, please. Okay, Kazuza, another number.
8.
And Kazuza, you're on a roll. One more time.
9.
Okay, done. So we saved it. Now we run the program again, and we don't have to still go with 3. But, Mike, how many numbers should we use now?
7.
Okay. So, Mike, can you name 7 numbers?
33.
We're a team. Okay, so you see how the program has a lot more muscle, flexibility, versatility now. Okay, now, the other programming languages are very similar. They will all have a for loop of some kind. They will all have a while loop of some kind. They will all have a do until loop of some kind. They all have arrays, or matrices, as they're called. Now this afternoon, I wrote a similar program. It has a couple more bells and whistles on it. So, what if I close that? So, see if this program is out there or not. So we want to save this program as some number, class program. It saves it in its own location. So now let's see if this one is up there. What did I call it? Class program? What's the one I just made? It's only this afternoon. I think I remembered what I called it. Yeah, and this is basically it. Okay, I'm gonna run this program and, see what happens. What's the first thing that happens? It has a welcome message, agreed? And now suddenly we have what's called a prompt box. And what's the prompt box asking you for?
Your name.
Hi, how do you know that? Because it asks you. And you say, okay, here's my name. And then the next thing it does is, it says it uses my name. How does it know my name? I just told it.
We called it.
And so now, how many numbers? 3. And I can do one more. Okay, so what's wrong with the code? See if we can find out what's wrong with the code. So notice, instead of using the word input, then what is the word that I use? Prompt. Prompt. So if you use the word input, you get a prompt. If you use the word prompt, you get a prompt box. Some people think it's more classy. Now here I have a compound prompt. This prompt box is going to give you a prompt message that's comprised of your name, and this plus sign means append. Append with a message, how many numbers? loop, it's not working. So debug time, anybody find the debug time?
It's right next to the run button on the toolbar. It's the fifth from the right. What? There's a button for it.
Oh, the debug button?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying the bug was next to it.
We don't need that, we can do it ourselves. What's wrong with this code?
You know, is that not, you have a comma instead of a semicolon there.
Here?
Is that a problem?
But this is within the quote marks, within the quote
Within,
marks,
yeah,
it's
it's
literal, you can
right.
have anything you want.
Alright,
That's just for aesthetic purposes.
alright,
Dimension, X, Y spaces, where index equals 1 to Y, enter number. Then we print the index, number 1 equals, and then we call it X index. Oh, I didn't enter any numbers.
Yeah, there's a.
It ran fine, I just didn't enter any numbers, because I didn't understand the program. Okay, let's run it again. What's my name? Ted. So Ted, now see how the comma is coming in there, Mike?
mm-hmm.
See the comma? How many numbers? 4. Okay, now it says enter number 1. So what's the first number we should enter?
1.
A 7.
Oh.
It should say enter the second number.
First, yeah, yeah.
What's another number? 6. Enter the third number, 15. And enter the fourth number, 78, and the sum is 106. So the new things that we illustrated in this piece of code is that you can do something called a prompt box. A prompt box. Now, is this good coding style, or do I have those X's, Y's, and non-self-documenting labels back again, which we want to avoid? Okay? So, now, if you can take out your sheet for the figure stating, the one that has the crooked paper on it. Now, some of you have not yet done your recipe program, so you're deficient and derelict, and a few other D words, I'm sure. But, and I also can't find my skating program. I found it. But once you finish that, then your project for next week is this skating program. So when you are assigned to write a program, this is what you're given, this and nothing else. These are called the program specs, specifications. In other words, it's identical to the output sheet. This is what your program should produce. And we've indicated this is the starting point of a program, is the output, what it should produce. The production is at the bottom. It says, welcome to the Figure Skater Score Evaluation Program. Please enter the contestant's name. Now, at the top, it has some specifications. So, Sierra, could you read the specifications, typically?
Typically, some number of judges, say 9, will view a contestant's figure skating routine, and each judge will assign a score from 0 to 10.
Everybody familiar with that? That's the way figure skating works. Most of you have done figure skating competitively, so you already know that.
Yeah, very familiar.
Sierra.
You want me to keep reading?
Yes, please.
The highest and the lowest of the 9 scores are discarded, and the remaining 7 are averaged.
How many already know that's the way it's done? There's something called bias. Like if one of the judges is from the same country as the contestant, somehow she gets a high score. If one of the judges is from a politically opposing country, she gets a low score. There's bias. So they try to get out the extremism by discarding the highest and the lowest scores from the 9 judges. And the remaining 7 are averaged. Is everyone either familiar with that or understanding it? Any questions? These are the specifications. Please continue.
That average is the performer's final score. Write a basis.
Never mind.
This is basis, is that correct?
Never mind.
Oh, you said, okay.
Never mind.
Write a basic computer program with the
comments at the
Wow,
top.
there's
Who
some
are the
weird
comments
comments.
for?
You and the programmers.
You and the follow-on programmers, to remind you what this thing is
Like we
doing.
have it right there.
Like I have it right there. Please continue, sorry for the
There's a
interruption.
weird comment. Okay, and date all as introductory comments that will accept from the keyboard the contestant's name and the 9, there needs to be some comments there. And, and the 9 scores of the judges.
Do you read often?
I read every day, it's my job. It is my job too. Yep. So, sorry, it's bothering me. And, produce as output the final score for the contestant.
Oh my God, where are we?
What language is that?
There needs to be some comments in here.
Is that
I'm
clear?
gonna revise this really quick, huh?
Yes, it does, folks.
Alright, so, you want me to reread it with some comments?
Yes,
Okay.
it's improved now.
Did you change the S to a C?
I'm about to.
Yeah.
I get it, real true.
From the keyboard.
I thought it was fine, actually.
And,
How many other people thought it was fine? Okay. Well, I guess we just didn't know, did we? It's obviously all wrong. Yes, sir.
In code, how would you say to eliminate the highest and the lowest score? Is that difficult?
It is difficult, and that's why you're gonna do it and not me. That is the assignment. So I'm gonna ask you the same question. How are you going to eliminate the highest and lowest scores? That's why we're giving you this early, so you can stay up the next 3 nights and figure out how are you going to eliminate the highest and lowest scores. That is why we hired you, the top guys in the industry, to take on this. Everyone else in our own company failed. So we're bringing in you from the outside to correct the specifications and to actually get the code that will do the job.
What if they get all the same number?
Handle it, handle it. Your program must be crash-proof. No matter what is entered, it must be able to handle it. You must be able to handle all entry. Please continue.
okay, I'm gonna reread that sentence.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, write a basic computer program with the title, description, your name, and date all as introductory comments. And date all as introductory comments that will accept from the keyboard the contestant's name and the 9 scores of the judges, and produce the output as the final score for the contestant.
Much better.
That's the mess up.
I'm a little over there.
Please continue at my own risk.
Use self-descriptive names as your variable.
None of this X, Y, and Z stuff, okay?
Right.
What if your name is X? Never mind.
Mr.
Alright.
X.
Include comments in the code where necessary to explain a difficult step, not all steps. Too many comments and they will get ignored. You must use a numeric array and a for loop in your code.
She actually reads capitals as capitals, that's rare.
Yelled at,
Please continue.
Sample output?
This is sample output of the program, okay? Now, yours doesn't have to be crooked like this.
Are you sure?
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't
Give
know
it
how to.
some character.
Extra points.
What code do you need to put in for that?
Advanced. Okay, welcome to the Figure Skaters Core Evaluation Program. Please enter the contestant's name, Sally's field. Please enter the score of the first judge. Please enter the score of the second judge. Are you going to have 9 separate variables, or are you going to use an array? The instructions say use a numeric array. No choice, right? So declare a numeric array called judges' scores, or the scores of the 9 judges, or however it is grammatically correct. We're under observation here. And so then these judges are entered, their scores, and then you, inside the code, Gene already knows how, discard 2 scores. Which 2 scores do you discard?
High and low,
High and low. What do you do with the remaining 7 scores?
average.
And then you print the final score for Sally's field. Thank you. So I want to give you an early start on this because it might be a brain buster. It might or might not. So I'm not going to entertain any questions on this until Monday, because I want you guys to do it yourself. But if you come in on Monday as a wet noodle, well, I've got some soy sauce, but sure.
Yes, so then Monday, we'll turn in the cooking recipe one, and then, okay.
That's right. And then you'll tackle this one. And as Jean has insisted, this is the last program in this course, so you can get your exit strategy in place now. Wrap it up this weekend.
Please ask what a wet noodle is. Yeah, what is brain? Does that count?
I don't hear all of this, but
Well, it's hard to be a
Well,
dry noodle.
for
right?
this project, we won't have the prompt box.
oh, prompt boxes are optional, you use them if you want. Prompt boxes you can use anywhere you use an input. But I would not prompt for the 9 judges' scores, because then it's lost, you don't have them all on the page, agreed?
Right.
So you wanna keep them all visuals. So anything you prompt for, you should probably echo on the page, right after that.
On both.
So it's on the record there, because this printed page is going to be ripped off and given to the announcer or something like that. So it's a record, it's a hard copy record of that. So I wanted to be sure that those specs and sample output were in your hands for the big project. You now know how to do those. Now, I'm just going to point out something that might be useful to you. I have no idea if it actually will be useful to you or not, but just to make sure that you don't miss it. No, it might be in the other handout that I'm preparing for you right now. I think it is, so let me check that now. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. The basic programming language, as all programming languages, comes, let's focus up here, ladies. Ladies, you already know how to do that, but what I'm about to say, you don't yet know how to do it. So this is new stuff. So postpone that. Okay, good. The basic programming language, as all programming languages, has a set of commands, such as input, print, and for. And you can make a little package or a set of these commands to perform a certain function in your code. Now, many of these functions are desired to be executed more than once. So what you do is you give that block of code a name, and then you can call it later and just get the result for it. For example, I'm going to describe to you a function which is convert to upper. Now, this function has some parentheses, and after the parentheses, it has what is in the input string. This accepts this as input, and then it does some things, and then it returns some output. And the output that it returns is captured by a variable that you put here. So now, at the end of this function call, what we're doing is we're calling this piece of code that's actually someplace else. We don't know where it is, okay? But this piece of code is so designed that it will take this input and it will convert it to uppercase, and it will return that result to us. So once this function executes, then if you look at new string, and you say print new string, then what's going to print? ABC. Because this is a packaged function called convert to upper. Okay? So I'm going to give you another one. X equals len, so name string equals Michael. So X equals len of name string. So print X, what prints?
Michael.
7. Because len returns the length of the string. It's a function designed to return the length of the input string. That's what it's designed to do. So it accepts this as input, and it's designed to return a number. The number it's designed to return is the length of the string. Okay? So now, I'm going to introduce you to another function called max. So let's say x equals 4 and y equals 7. And I'm going to spell it right. And I'm going to say that z is equal to max of x comma y. Print z. What prints? 7. So max is a function that accepts as input two existing variables and returns the maximum of the two. Lights are going off in James' head.
Not max, not min. Gotcha.
Got it. Okay, now, if I say w equals min x comma y, then what's going to print now? 4. So these two functions are available for you to use. They're called max and min. And there's some dozens of other functions that exist in the basic language, of which I'll try to get a little bit of literature out in your hands right now. And they may or may not be useful to you at the moment. But that one, I think, is particularly useful to you at the moment. Okay? So I'm just checking that I have the content. I have a list of all functions that are in BASIC in front of me, and I'm looking for max and min, and not finding it. So I'm going to test it at the keyboard, but just BASIC might not have these two functions. So I'm going to go back to my code. Let's see if we have any code here. That's good code. So all I want to do is right here in the beginning, before I do anything else, I want to test this line. Print max of 3 of 2 comma 8. So if this is a valid instruction, then what should it do?
Print
So let's see if it's a valid instruction.
Oh.
No, this instruction doesn't exist in BASIC.
That's called
And C language also. So you're going to have to somehow do the same thing yourself with some comparisons and some if statements to decide which is the maximum. I wish this function did exist, but if you went upscaled from their free version to their complete version, then it probably does exist. But in this freebie, it's stripped down, so they don't have the max function. But you can do the same thing yourself with just an if statement, agreed? So how would you do it yourself with an if statement? It's very easy. So since we can't do this, we can say if x greater than y, then z equals x, else z equals y. Doesn't that do the same thing? It sets e to the maximum of the two, x and y, doesn't it? So that line of code will pick out which is greater, x or y, without ever knowing what they are. Z now contains the greater of the two. Z now contains the greater of the two. So that's how you can do it. Good. Chapter 11.
I think Z greater than Y,
Hmm?
correct? The
That's-
last,
in between.
If x
X
greater than...
else Z greater than Y?
No, we're not interested. I'm sorry, tell me what you're doing.
Just reading that.
Trying to see what it says.
Z
If
equals
x
Y.
greater than y, then z equals x, else z equals y.
Yeah.
Should I print it out?
No, you're fine.
Sierra, is it okay?
Do you concur?
Hi,
Looks like
Concur.
cheese.
Okay.
that looks great.
There you
What does it do?
It,
The greater.
yeah, it means
Select-
that selects Z as the highest amount.
Well done. So you understand. You understand. So you don't need functions because you can do the same thing yourself with an if statement. Good. Now, I imagine that Ayano is going to have her program up and running by tomorrow morning. That's the way she does things. So the bar is already this high. Okay, let's go forward to chapter 11. And Michael, can you get us started with your first challenge? Jeff
Where am
ran
I?
away. Jeff ran away. He's out of here.
Where am I? Sarah.
I'm in the process of evaluating a website and making changes to improve search sites results.
Prove what?
I'm in the process of evaluating a website and making changes to improve search site results.
Search
Where am I?
results. Beep. Anybody? Jen?
SSO, search site optimization.
SSO, search site optimization. Bam!
Heads up.
Oh,
Sarah, what did you know?
You got a winner.
I wouldn't get that.
I don't know, I don't
Never
know.
did it.
Gene, your turn.
Okay. I deleted my questions, but I've got a few of them still in my head, so I'm gonna go like this. Here's a multiple choice. I thought we were done with questions for the day. We just shut it down. We didn't say we were coming back. So, Sierra,
What's up?
if I was to buy something from you, an individual to an individual on the internet, what type of transaction is that? Is that a B2C,
Consumer- Oh,
B2B, C2C, or B2G?
wait, repeat the question?
C2C.
Wait, say, one more time,
You
please.
got it.
Sarah.
Nice
knew
one,
it.
Sarah.
I just, no big deal.
Restart, Gene, for
Okay.
politeness.
Yeah, polite.
Okay, if an individual was to purchase something from another individual via the internet, what type of e-commerce is that? B2C, B2B, C2C, or B2G?
C2C.
You got it?
Say one more time, if an individual was to purchase from another individual,
Mm-hmm.
Consumer to consumer.
that's
Yeah.
C2C, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, who's next, Jean, Jordan or Sierra?
Jordan kind of like yelled it out. So.
Well, she was saying,
Yeah, you were saying
He's
consumer.
calling
You were
you.
saying consumer
Rude.
first. Never mind, Sierra.
Jordan, he's calling you.
He's calling
He's calling
you.
you.
okay. What is? Kazuza?
Kazuza,
True or false? An e-tailer is an online retailer. Okay. True or false? An e-tailer is an online retailer.
go. Go.
True or false?
It's true?
True.
I never heard of that before.
Sure,
So you're
the
making
chapter.
that
Yeah,
up?
an e-teller, like a bank teller. It's on the internet. On
Okay.
bank.
Did
Jordan,
did
you
Jeff,
have to go
did Jeff
again.
just come at me and ask me if that was in the chapter?
No, I said if you read the chapter, it's right there.
Oh, thank you, sir.
It says retailer or.
Let's say.
Alright.
Go again, huh?
I'll go. Take my turn
Yeah,
back.
yeah, Sierra can go.
All right, Jordan. Jordan.
That was disrespectful.
Alright,
Alright, we give you a turn again.
You stole her answer.
that's what you get.
Huh?
No, I'm just kidding. So true or false? E-commerce usually takes place via the internet. Tricky question.
True.
That is true. I would say
Okay,
so.
who goes now?
I have some irony right quick. Jean's first question was my first question.
You want sympathy?
Exactly the same answers.
I know
I'm
it's
just
tough.
saying.
It's tough,
The
man.
irony is real.
Get through it, will you? I know.
Her question
Therapy
was the
helps.
same.
I wonder why. It's pretty good, great minds.
Yeah.
I want you to know I believe you.
Tough, dude. Hook it up with a true false.
Well, I've already asked my
For
true
putting
or
one
false.
for pink.
Let's go.
What is storefront software?
Hi. Storefront software. It's what you sort of pick up as you walk down the sidewalk off the street racks.
Software for sale at a store.
Shoplift and go. We had a lady walk down the streets in Tokyo and said, if they put that stuff back on the sidewalks in my town, it's gone. Go, answer, storefront software.
Already did.
Hmm? And it is?
I don't know.
Okay, volunteer, Ayano, what's storefront software? Pretty self-explanatory, just figure it out from the words, it is.
Sorry, found it. E-commerce software designed to add ordering capabilities to an existing website.
To add ordering capabilities, answer accepted. Ayano, your question, please.
Okay. Then go to Michael. Hi, so true or false question. So talking about the business model.
Yes.
Where's my question sheet? Oh, sorry. Okay, so B2B business model is B2B business model is can make most of profit. True or false?
Aye, good question. Which of the business models involves the larger dollar amounts?
B2G.
Amazon or one of the others? Amazon is business to customer, and customer to customer, eBay. Which of the business models
False.
uses the big acceptable?
No,
Well,
goodness,
I know
it's
it's
true,
true.
false, right?
Yeah,
It's true?
my answer was true.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Business to business involves the biggest ones because it's bank exchanging billions of dollars to another bank. They do that at the drop of a keystroke. So, diddly 95-cent transactions may be numerous, but they're not big enough. Okay, good. Now, my question, Shoko, what is meaning of opt-in and opt-out? Opt-in and opt-out. And I hope it's in this chapter. Opt-in and opt-out.
It's a Jordan G question. Why didn't ask him?
No, basically, just figured me out.
Anybody?
One you,
Yes, Sierra.
When you go in, when you go out.
one you opt into something and one that.
You can't use the question and the answer.
Oh, we're not doing that anymore?
Oh, I don't know that.
Well, you all know because you do it all the time. So if you join a new website
Request.
as a customer, at the bottom they ask you, would you like us to flood your email with the
Oh, yeah.
promo stuff?
Oh,
And there's a checkbox.
Request from.
Now, if the checkbox is currently checked, then which are we, opt out or opt in?
Opt
You're
in.
opt in, agreed.
Requesting participation.
Now, if the checkbox is not checked and you manually have to check it, then which are they offering you? Opt out, agreed? Now, which traditionally did they always do until there was so many objections?
You didn't have a choice.
They didn't even give you that, it just happened. But once they gave you a choice, was it already checked?
Yes.
So if you don't uncheck it, then you get it. It's a little bit like when you bring up your email and you say, would you like us to keep you,
Unsubscribe.
not unsubscribed, but your email,
Keep you logged in.
keep you logged in?
Oh.
Recognize it.
And
Then
is
you
that
opt
opt out
out.
or opt in?
Yeah, that's correct.
Which is
Usually
it?
opt out.
It's opt in, it's checked.
You know,
If you don't want to keep, that's why you go to some computer back in the library and you just turn it on and there's all your email staring you and the whole base in your face. Because you didn't opt out, true? Okay, good. So now another discussion question. Has customer service on these internet commerce sites improved drastically in the last 10 years?
Yes.
Now please tell me, is it the kindness of the hearts of the company owners?
No.
What is it?
It's the money that they want in their pocket.
But why is it leading to increased sales?
so they get more sales.
Because what happened before we had the internet, if you had an issue with a customer company, you wrote them a letter, agreed?
Yeah.
And what usually happened to the letter?
They threw it away.
Same answer, agreed. Was it visible to the world?
Nope.
Now, if you send a customer review
Or Yelp.
on this website, then is it visible to the world?
Yes.
Suddenly they're a lot more responsive out of the kindness of their hearts, agreed? So once we have this customer power, customer clout, and it's very, very strong, then these businesses are becoming a lot more polite and kind than they used to be, a lot more. So that whole attitude has drastically changed because of the internet and these reviews that go out there. So that's a big result of internet. Okay, name 5 advantages of internet shopping. Anybody?
Convenience.
Convenience. What's convenient about it?
No pants.
Not talking to people. That's fair.
You can also chew gum, right? Okay, so you can dress like you want, no dress code, right? Okay, any other convenience?
You can compare prices.
Yeah.
easily.
Compare prices, great one, another one.
Stuff's delivered to you, you don't have to go get it.
Stuff is delivered to you, you don't have to go get it. So advantage after advantage after advantage. Are the prices lower by visible competition?
Sometimes.
Some of the time.
Okay, good. Another advantage, you get a greater selection.
Wider
Then you
variety.
just go to a shelf, wider variety, that's all there. Okay, now the advantage is so obvious that e-commerce has just taken over because there are an enormous number of advantages. The list could go on and on. Name a disadvantage.
You have to wait for your stuff to get there.
You have to wait for your stuff to get there, you can't walk out the store with it,
You
right?
can't try on that pair of shoes or
You
that dress.
can't try it
or
on that
hat.
pair of shoes or
Or
pants.
your
You don't need a
payment
pair of
method.
pants quickly.
Some you can steal your credit card info.
Credit,
Visibility
security.
of credit card info.
You gotta pay for shipping.
No.
Sometimes it won't ship to the address that you want it to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, all of that stuff goes on, all of that, so there are disadvantages, agreed? So, it's not just like it's totally one-sided. Okay, Sierra, another question. Please.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, I got one while she's looking it up.
Alright.
Who founded PayPal?
David Power.
Who founded PayPal? What is PayPal?
Tim, was his first name Tim?
That's right, no. Okay, answer, answer. Who founded Tesla?
Elon
Nikola
Musk.
Tesla.
Who
Same
founded
guy.
PayPal?
Elon Musk.
Got it. Is that a shock?
Okay,
What,
wow.
where did he get the money to start up Tesla with? He sold PayPal.
Wow. I didn't
Who did he
know.
sell it to? eBay.
What? It's
And it's now worth 10 times more than he got for it at that time. eBay, it's just wild. But he's also made 20 times the money on Tesla, so it's a win-win situation, agreed? Now, if you read his autobiography, or biography, which is in the library, the first thing you find out is that he loves to say the F word.
It's like
10 times a sentence, he does. And he also got forced out of PayPal. It was the second company that he started. First company he started was an online Yellow Pages, where businesses in a city could advertise online as they used to advertise in the Yellow Pages of a phone book. And if you say, what are the Yellow Pages of a phone book? Then it's what led into online advertising. But it never existed before. So he had to go door to door around the whole city of Palo Alto and try to get these businesses to advertise in his online. Then he went home and wrote the code all night long. So he really did start up the venture from nothing, and he ate when he could. And his brother was in on it too, and one or two other people, and that was the whole company. But after a while, 3 to 5 years, it did flourish. So he sold it for like 100 million, and Google bought it, actually. Google bought it. And then he started his second startup company, which was called X Company. He wanted to do online banking, savings account. He didn't know anything about banking, didn't stop him. And everyone said, you can't do banking online. Online's not suited for it. He said it is. And he wrote the code. He writes bad code, by the way. Very bad code.
Is the F word in his code?
No. But it functions. That's the F word.
It's in the comments.
And,
It's in the
and
comments.
his company was functioning, but it wasn't really producing huge profits, but some profits at all. And then across the street, because all these startup companies, this was a dot-com bubble still going on, 90s, and another company started up across the street with the name PayPal, and they had the original PayPal idea, but they had funding problems and they ran out of money, they were about to close, and Elon Musk bought them out. He also bought the name, and he bought in their CEO to run the sub-company within his company. And the new CEO and Elon Musk competed, and the other guy won and forced Elon Musk out, bought him out. So he took his $100 million settlement and started Tesla. Actually started SpaceX first, then he started Tesla later.
So he's better at that, right?
Pardon me, ma'am?
So he's better at that than writing code, right?
It turns out he seemed to be a very rare kind of CEO, and very, very effective CEO. He's currently CEO of 3 companies simultaneously,
Is he a
2.5
billionaire?
of which are successful, yes.
He's a billionaire?
Yes, billionaire several times over. But he's a workaholic, and attention to detail, total attention to detail, knows everything that goes on everywhere in the company. And he works 9 days a week, 30 hours a day, and expects everyone else to do the same. So he built his first rocket at SpaceX around 2002. And it was at a time where the only rockets that flew to launch satellites were government funded. And he felt it should be done in the private sector. So he scrounged a few dollars from investors and he built a rocket. So he took it up to the government launching site to test it, and Lockheed Martin, a small company in California there, who was building the rockets that the government used, denied him access to test his rocket. So he found a little island out in the South Pacific that had an army base on it, and he asked the colonel if he could test his rocket there. The colonel said, sure, we're not doing much else here. So he put his rocket on a boat and took it on a boat all the way out there, hacked down some trees in the jungle, set up a launch site, and his launch crew of 30 people lived in tents, and they got the darn thing flying, and it shocked the world, and it's never been the same since. They got the thing flying, and the rest is history. So now he's a major player, and commercial is taking off. So yeah, he was a driving force behind that as well. So it's all good reading. Okay, Michael, next question, please.
Gene, a common e-commerce business model is, this is multiple choice. A common e-commerce business model is OTP, EFT, B2B, or SSO.
Gotta go B2B there.
B2B
Yes.
is the correct answer.
Good, okay, now, icing on the cake, let's decide what the others stand for, unless it came out of Mike's head. OTP is? Does
You
that
want me
really
to
mean?
answer them, or do you want them to answer?
I want them to answer, if there is an answer.
Yeah,
OTP, I say one time, oh, what is OTP?
they're in the book.
Well, I know, but they're not in this space of the room yet. Who's gonna get it first? What's OTP? OTP,
Over the phone?
Is it?
you're making that up.
One-time
That's
password?
pretty accurate. I mean,
One-time password,
Oh,
what-
yeah.
those are great, one-time passwords, nice call. And what was another wrong answer?
EFT,
What?
Electronic funds transfer.
Well done, guys, and the last wrong answer?
we had that earlier in the day.
Okay.
SSO,
Yeah, you answered that yourself, I think.
Search
He
site
answered.
optimization.
Okay,
Search site
so,
optimization.
now, I want
Optimization.
somebody to elucidate what is a one-time password, and why it's necessary when it's used, and whether it's being, liked and accepted. Jeff, tell us all the above.
No idea what.
One-time password, John G.
Pass.
One-time password.
Password
That's
to
when
use
you
one
use one
time.
time.
That's much better. To see how you're, improved, just like
That's what
my
you're looking for?
page got improved by Sierra, Sierra's the improvement person. Okay, a one-time password, when you use your credit card, do you always cringe a little bit? Let's see, when is the password used? I guess you access your bank account?
Yep.
You access your bank account, do you always cringe a little bit when you type in the password?
Yeah.
What if it's a fake page or something like that?
Yeah.
You don't cringe? You don't have any money in the bank? Okay, now you can get a one-time password that's just used for one time. And you get it through a secure mode, I guess, and after you use it one time, it's no longer valid, okay? Now, what is the other new device called the gadget? Well, this is where the one-time password comes from. First, how do you find out what your one-time password is going to be?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You click on the corner of your credit card, and it pops up. Might not be in this chapter, might have been chapter 9, already known. And it's preloaded into your credit card, what are valid one-time passwords, pass numbers. Actually, these are pass digits, not passwords, pass digits.
Oh.
Pass codes, one-time pass codes. And then you can use it, and it won't be usable after the one time that you use it. So it's automatically generated by your credit code. It has a chip in it that generates it. And it's synced into the bank. They'll recognize it as valid. And I guess if you lose your credit card, then a person gets to use it one time. And I guess you still have to shut it down or something like that. So there are advantages to it. It's slippery. So, Ayano, take us out of here with your last question.
My last question.
Yes.
Okay.
Does anyone have a killer